Ahoy there! So, it is a gorgeous day in Kodiak. Now, quite honestly, as far as I'm concerned, it's not that great because it's hot. It's like 60. So, a guy named Brian left us a message in the comments, and I thought, you know, we want to give you an answer, but the answer is way longer than I can write in the comments. The question was, it's a two-part question. The first part was, how did you become interested in Wanderlodges? And then the second part of the question was, if you were to do it again, would you buy the same, year and model and configuration and all that stuff? Brian, those are awesome questions. Stick around, we're going to give you the answers. So, how did we get interested in Wanderlodges? That's a pretty deep question. Let me try to discuss it as best I can. So, our transient lifestyle goes quite a ways back. Lots of camping, lots of fishing, lots of extended camping. How did we get on a Wanderlodge? I lived in a Class A motorhome called a Georgie Buoy. Spent a lot of time in that thing, affectionately referred to as the Love Shack, but I was a young man. Anyway, from there, went back to the whole living in a house, having a corporate job, and did that for quite a while. Jen and I decided after we got married, took a government job in Fort Collins, Colorado. Hooked up a pop-up camper, drove to Fort Collins, Colorado, figured out two things. Number one, a 2001 Dodge truck that has an engine that's already had to been rebuilt twice. Not the best choice for driving to Colorado. Number two, living in a pop-up camper in the middle of the foothills of Loveland, Colorado, while the elk are mating and doing this thing called bugling. Doesn't make for a whole lot of sleep. When your new bride is getting ready to come to Colorado to live with you, the whole pop-up thing isn't really going to work. So we wound up buying a fifth wheel. Now that brand is not a big brand. I don't even know if they exist anymore, but I got to tell you, 3.5 years in that 36-foot, 4-season fifth wheel, I thought it was awesome. Jen thought it was slightly less than awesome, but still pretty good. Yeah, we didn't do our research. The internet was there, but it wasn't that reliable. That's like it's reliable now, right? Anyway, bottom line was we didn't do our homework. So I told Jen, this fifth wheel thing is going to be temporary. And it was. It was 3.5 years, but it was still temporary. But in that time, we managed to pay off most of our debts, and we were all set so that when we moved to Wisconsin, we were able to live in a house. Life was good. I did a little bit more active duty, wound up living on a boat for a while. Now, why am I telling you all this? It's because I've lived in a Class A motorhome, a fifth wheel, and a boat, with houses in between. So, when it came time to find something fun to recreate in, I could tell you this. When you live in a campground for 3.5 years, plus a bunch of other years that you don't, were a long time ago, you talk to a lot of people, you meet a lot of people. You look at a lot of campers, a lot of buses, a lot of Class A's, a lot of clapped together, kind of scary looking things. So you want to know the best date night ever when you're married to a cool chick? RV or outdoorsman show. Sure. Okay, so the food is all deep fried and costs about $25 a serving. But I tell you what, it should be all over you. So, met tons of interesting people. Met a club of people called the Wally Byams. Now the Wally Byams are the Airstream Club. And if you're watching this, that means you're thinking, hey, this whole camping thing's cool. And if you watch the camping thing long enough, you're going to think Airstreams are where it's at. And Airstreams are good. Are they worth $100,000? I'm not sure. But that's what people are paying for them. They're good. They're really good. Anyway, met all kinds of clubs, met all kinds of people. And I got to tell you, of all the people we met, the most interesting people we met were probably the ones that had the buses. Now, what's the value of a bus over a regular camper? Bottom line is, a bus is designed for industrial work. A school bus is designed for industrial work, every day, stop and go, and has to be safe enough for people's most valuable assets, or liabilities, depending on how you feel about it, their children. So, we decided, okay, let's focus on buses. Now, there are several companies that convert buses. We looked at Newell's, we looked at Prevost, we looked at all these conversion companies that specialize in taking a bus, usually a used bus, and converting it into an RV. We also looked at what is now a very big trend, which is buying an old school bus, often referred to as a schoolie, and turning it into a tiny home. I think that's the popular verbiage. Or a city bus, and converting that into a camper, or a camper bus, or converting a tour bus into a RV.
It's all the same thing.
No, they're different, because city buses are geared for cities. Tour buses are geared for the highway. School buses are totally safe and geared to be universal. So converting a bus ourselves, certainly an option. But I gotta tell you what, that's more of a young people thing. Because when you have a full-time job and your wife is busy full-time homeschooling and doing 4-H stuff and on some board for the swim team, bottom line, we don't have the time to do a conversion on a school bus. We barely have the time to take care of the Wanderlodge. The common denominator in the whole thing is if you want a coach that was built to be a coach from the get-go, like a bus that was pulled off the production line and sent over to the same factory's other production line and made into a luxury, probably one-off luxury coach, you really wind up, you keep coming back to Wanderlodge. Now, Jen and I really, really love the Wanderlodges. But here's the thing, we're talking low production, really low production. And there just aren't that many out there. And so, you know, we were looking at this, looking at that. We were going there, we were looking a lot at Airstreams, I gotta be honest. Looked at a lot of Wanderlodges that did come available. And when I say a lot, it's like, okay, now there's one in New Jersey. Now there's one in Florida. Now there's one in Texas. You gotta remember, we're in Alaska. So we love the Wanderlodges, but we didn't really think that seriously we could find one. And then my buddy Russ says, hey, guess what, Lair? I went and got me a Wanderlodge down in Georgia or somewhere in the South. He bought that Wanderlodge, which was in a previous video. And he hired a couple guys to get it all squared away, and then he went down there. Him and his dad went down, picked it up, drove it back up. Now here's the thing. When your good friend calls up and says, hey, guess what? I got a Wanderlodge, and now I'm bringing it back home to Alaska. I'm not sure if you're familiar with what dropping the gauntlet is, but that's pretty much it. So, as it turned out, Jen and I definitely upped our game, started looking pretty hard and heavy. First, we had our buddy Bill take a look at one for us back in my neck of the woods, the North Shore of Lake Superior in northern Minnesota. Thing was, it was a post, it was like 1987 or older. And here's the thing. When it comes to Wanderlodge forward control buses, the last year of the round headlights, like ours has, 1986. And as much as that 87 or 89, whatever it was, mechanically it was good, it was in good shape, everything was good. You know, and it had 50 more horsepower, the whole schmear. Neither Jen nor I could get past this plastic grill thing it had on the front and the square headlights. So we passed on that one. Then, we had our friends, the Hanses, in northern Michigan, take a look at another one for us. Now this one was a 36 single pusher. Now the pusher has the engine in the back, still a Caterpillar 3208, which granted, okay, that's probably the least desirable engine that they put in the Wanderlodges. Most of the pushers had Detroit two-stroke, you know, like 6V92s or 671s. And it was nice, it was really nice. Jen and I thought, you know, we could maybe pull the trigger on this one. And then
Aaron showed up.
Yep, Aaron showed up in Bridgman, Michigan. Aaron, the dude who runs one of the Wanderlodge sites, who is a mechanic and just a really good guy, although I didn't know the good guy part at the time.
And only the second owner of this bus.
Yep, second owner, and he'd put a new engine in it when he blew up the first 3208, because, yeah, that's the problem with 3208s. Occasionally they blow up. But, so this was one squared away coach. We said, you know what? It's a 1986, the last year of the good looking forward control buses, in our opinion. We're not saying, we don't want to get beat up by the folks that have the square headlights. That's fine. I'm sure they're brighter. But we really love the 86 look. Yep. He did a couple of walkthrough FaceTime videos for us, and the whole time, I gotta tell you, okay, you get this guy from an island off, not just Alaska, but you get a guy on an island off the coast of Alaska that has like 11 miles of paved road. And he's like, yeah, I'm interested in your bus. And Aaron's thinking, this guy's either full of it or he's nuts.
I'm sure he probably thought it was a scam.
Or a scam, yeah. You know, as you go through this whole long dance of buying a Wanderlodge bus that's like 4,000 miles away, you really get to know the person who owns it. And the person who owns it gets to know the person who's buying it. And I'm reasonably certain that right up until the point that he picked us up in that parking lot, he thought we were nuts. Because he knew that we were going to show up with a family and we were going to pile into this thing untested during all this COVID lockdown stuff in Canada and try to drive it 4,000 miles back home. And I got to tell you, old Aaron, he stepped up. Maybe he stepped up more just because he knew that there was a chance that we were actually going to try to pull this off. And if you're watching this, Aaron, we sincerely do appreciate everything that you did, because had you not done what you did, well, I might not be making videos. I might be sitting in some Canadian jail having to make maple syrup or whatever they have to do in Canadian jail. So that's how that worked out. Now, would we buy the same thing over again? It's hard to imagine. I mean, we kind of bought a unicorn. You know, a 1986 with a new engine, maintained by an awesome dude that was in great shape. I mean, there's not much left that you could have much flexibility with. Now that said, ours is a 35, the longest one, and ours has the bathroom in the back. Do you like having the bathroom in the back? Absolutely. Why? Because if the bed's in the back, it's really pretty hard to lay in the bed, because, you know, the back of the bus will always be the back of the bus. It's a rough ride. It's pretty nice to be able to go back there and stretch your legs if you need to.
Well, and with the bathroom in the back, it's a bigger bathroom. So the shower's a little bit bigger.
Absolutely.
Just the move around room, the closet space.
So,
yeah.
Yes, because one thing, I don't know if you can tell on the video, but I'm nowhere as petite as you think I look. Okay? Needless to say, a dude my size needs a full-size bathroom. Because let's face it, the whole reason you use a bus or a camper or an RV or a trailer is because it has a bathroom. And because you can pack it ahead of time. Which, the other thing is, ooh, hey, here's a boat that we seriously contemplated buying. We're okay that we didn't. Long story. Because, you know, you got buses and you got boats. You live on an island, a boat does make more sense.
For camping. And
we've got boats.
Yeah.
So, we're good. We are very blessed that way, to have boats and a bus. Brian, I hope we answered your question. If we didn't, let us know, and I guess there'll be a part 2 here. But the bottom line, at the end of the day, we couldn't be happier. And I got to tell you, we love living out here on Kodiak Island. Love, love, love it. Especially on days like today where it's absolutely gorgeous. But I got to tell you, not a day goes by we don't say we don't miss that bus. We can't wait to go back. And I hope you guys want to come along with us. And as usual, we really appreciate your time. Really appreciate you sticking with us. And we absolutely love comments like Brian's, saying, hey, how'd you wind up with the Wanderlodge in the first place? So there you go, Brian. Thanks again. Anybody else wants to know anything, I guess this way you know we're reading the comments, right? You all take care and take care of each other. Thanks a lot.